from what I know, at least in how the vehicle is selling in Europe, I can understand why you would have picked that market.
Absolutely. What you just said there was very important. It's not just the incentives, not just the dollars and cents incentives, but it's also goes back to the i-MiEV program. Remember, we sent those prototypes out so that those areas would start to see the promise of the future with electric drive vehicles. And a lot of the areas, especially in Europe and in Japan and parts of Asia, is that they have developed extensive electric vehicle charging networks. And because of that, that's where the electric drive vehicles are being wildly successful, because they have electric vehicle charging at many convenient locations.
Right.
Whereas, as you know, Bill, here in the U.S., there's places that you have to go a long way before you can find even a plug to plug your car into.
Yep, that's true. Certainly where I live here, I don't know at this point. I think we're finally starting to put a handful of public chargers in, but nothing to get excited about. That's for sure. One of the programs I'd like to talk to you about that has kept the whole sort of Mitsubishi thing alive, or electric vehicle program alive, is the Pikes Peak hill climb. You guys have been very aggressive over the last number of years, putting not only the sort of the stock, if you will, i-MiEV up that mountain, but also some modified cars that, and I forget the gentleman's name. He's got a nickname, something like Monster or something. Something of that nature. So talk a little bit about the Pikes Peak program and what you've learned from that.
Yeah, we're very proud of the Pikes Peak program. As you know, we raced WRC and Paris to Dakar for many years, and we're very successful in both. And we scaled back our racing program significantly with the decline in the global economy. But what we were able to do is we were able to put together the Pikes Peak program and attack Pikes Peak. And as you can see, we've been there a number of years now, and we came loaded for bear this year, and we won. And that's something that we're all very proud of. But it's also indicative of our technology that we have in these vehicles. We're not bringing just one-off race technology vehicles there. We're bringing a vehicle, yes, it's a tubular chassis race car, which you definitely need to have on that race course at those speeds that they're going.
Right.
But the electric drive, the batteries, all of that technology, that's off-the-shelf i-MiEV technology. And the interesting part of that is that we've now been able to learn a lot in the process of that Pikes Peak. I really am happy. One of the things I'm real happy about is, we've been working on vehicle-to-grid technology. And one of the things that, just a little aside, I was having a lot of problems with is adapting current production vehicles to use our vehicle-to-grid technology. And one day, our R&D engineers were there at Pikes Peak, and they needed electricity to run some of their tools. And the guys sat down and burnt the software there in a parking lot to be able to retrofit the ECU for an i-MiEV, to turn an i-MiEV into a power supply unit right there in the parking lot. Well, we took that design and we burned that into a production ECU, and now that basic design is on our 2014, 2016 i-MiEVs in production.
Well, you bring that up because I know one of the things, in the wake of the disaster with the tsunami in 2011 and Fukushima and the whole sort of rescue and recovery effort there, from what I remember reading is that the little i-MiEV did quite a bit of yeoman work, I guess the term I would use, to to provide, move people into and out of that and supplies into and out of those devastated areas.
Yeah, definitely, Bill. Thank you for reminding me, because That's what happened. Remember all those prototype vehicles we talked about that were all over the world? Well, when that disaster happened, all those prototype vehicles went back to Japan. We almost had 100 electric vehicles there in the disaster zone. And the thing that we found about those is that it was much easier for us to reinstall the fueling infrastructure for electric drive vehicles than for hydrocarbon drive vehicles. And so we were able to use a lot of these little electric vehicles to move people around, to get them to doctor's appointments, to get them to places they needed to go, and in a very efficient and low impact way. Based on that, what we learned was the interest level that people have in having emergency backup power and that big battery sitting in their car to be available for backup power. So in Japan, we developed and are commercially marketing what we call the i-MiEV power box.
Okay.
Which you can plug into the CHAdeMO port of a properly equipped i-MiEV, or now an Outlander PHEV, and be able to take power out of that vehicle and make it available for your appliances, for your laptop computer. We even have one that's in our display in Japan that we call it the i-MiEV Cafe. That's all set up that it can plug in remote areas. They can plug in espresso machines and have espresso in the parking lot.
There you go.
Heck, I did one of those displays a summer ago back in Connecticut. It was a 100-degree day, and so we had a little refrigerator out there in the parking lot on this tarmac, and we had ice drinks in that. Anybody who came over to it, we gave them a cold drink. And they loved that car. We had a big crowd of people around that car that day.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so with all this experience you've had now over essentially a period of, 8 years now?
Yes, sir.
That what's the key one or two lessons that you have learned, and particularly, what sort of hiccups did you have along the line that, made you, helped you make the car better?
Well, the biggest lesson learned is that infrastructure is the key. We need to have the infrastructure. We need to continue to work with the stakeholders to develop EV charging infrastructure. That we have the i-MiEV is a great little car. I drive one every single day to and from work. And I have an ideal infrastructure. I can charge at home, and we have a significant, we have level 1, 2, and DC quick charge here at our facility. For me, an i-MiEV to commute is a wonderful thing. But most of our customers don't have that same infrastructure. And so the thing that we have learned, not just in the US, but all over the world, is that we've developed a great car, but we need to help develop the whole system to make this successful in the future. And so we continue to work here in California, here in the United States, and all over the world with government agencies and suppliers to continue to develop EV infrastructure.
Okay. Any hiccups along the line? I know one of the individuals I know had an i-MiEV in Illinois, and he did have some issues with it. That I think he had some battery problems of some kind, or I'm not exactly clear. But have you seen and with the initially with the production of the Outlander? I think there were some early on. There were some battery manufacturing issues that you had to resolve. So I'm assuming you're getting all of those things worked out, and this is a very rugged, reliable vehicle now.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, at the beginning of our production of the Outlander PHEV, our battery supplier did a change to the quality control system, the quality control process, and caused a small number of failures. We caught those early. Matter of fact, we caught one of them on the production line, and the other failure that we found was during the delivery process at the dealership. These cars did not get out to the customers.
Good.
Based on that, we immediately froze everything, everywhere. And we tracked every one of those batteries down and replaced those batteries before it inconvenient, other than it didn't cause any safety issues with our customers.
Okay.
And that was the most important part for us. If we must, that's our most important thing, is safety must come first.
Okay. We're getting close to the end of the period here. What's the future of the i-MiEV? When you first rolled that out, there was a beautiful little sort of sports car looking version of that. Are there any sort of, that chassis been around now for quite a while, and we're seeing, new Volts and new Nissan Leafs being talked about. Any kind of future changes in that vehicle, or being put into into different platforms?
That's a real good question. Thanks for reminding me of the MiEV Sport. I love that little car. I wish we would do something like that. I keep longingly look at little sports cars when I'm driving every day to work. For us, the most important technology applications are in our PHEVs.
Okay.
Recently, you've seen us display our PHEV that's similar to our Outlander Sport,
okay,
our small crossover SUV. That's one technology avenue. And recently you've seen a similar PHEV application for our full-size Montero.
Okay.
Both of these, this is where we think that there's a great opportunity for electric drive technology. Back to the lessons learned about infrastructure, we're seeing that there's some places that are just not ready quite yet for a full dedicated 100% EV, but would be very, very happy to see a crossover SUV or even a fully capable four-wheel drive SUV that's able to utilize both electric drive and continue to operate on gasoline. And so in the near term right now, what we're announcing is our development of our PHEV technologies.
Okay. And that vehicle was, if I remember correctly, I think, did it not? I'm just trying to recall here. It was some kind of a road rally through Asia, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the Outlander PHEV did great in the Asian rally. We completed the rally in its first event. That's quite an accomplishment right there. But to have a production-based plug-in hybrid that was able to go through an actual rally course, and not just go through the course, it actually did very well. It placed ahead of a couple of fully prepared race cars. So we're very confident in our technology, especially, the toughness of Mitsubishi vehicles. That's where it comes in, that the Outlander PHEV is kind of convergence of, our sports car technologies, our all-wheel drive control technologies from our rally program, the toughness of our long-standing SUV off-road programs, and now our environmental conscious electric drive programs. And so we're really looking forward to next year and launching the PHEV here in North America.
That'll be great. Well, I hope I get an invitation. Hint, hint. That'll be super. So is this going to be available at dealers across the country, or just selected dealers on the coast, or what are your thoughts there?
We still haven't got to that point yet to figure out what we're going to do with it.
Okay.
What we did, if you remember our i-MiEV launch, what we did is we launched in California. What we tried to do with the i-MiEV is we launched in those areas that told us that they were ready for EVs.
Right.
And we found since that time that they they underestimated their capabilities, overestimated their capabilities.
Yeah.
Fortunately now, what we see in a lot of California, the West Coast states, and some of the Northeast states is that they have learned from that, and they've started to install a lot more electric vehicle charging.
Okay.
And so that's our first thing. We want these vehicles to be successful. They need to be charged.
Right.
So places that have infrastructure are the places that are probably going to see the vehicles first.
Okay. Is the i-MiEV still available for sale here in the United States? And where somebody listening to this, they want to go see one, test drive, where could they do that?
Absolutely. At certified i-MiEV dealers all over the United States. We have the 2016 i-MiEV, $22,995 MSRP. Tell me, is that not a deal, Bill?
That is a deal. And that's before any credits, right?
That's before any incentives. Here in California, that means that somebody could get a i-MiEV for basically $12,995.
Wow. And is this and essentially any improvements in range, or is this still the 62-mile EPA on it?
Still 62-mile EPA. The biggest thing that we've done for the 2016 is that we've improved the navigation system of this. So it now has a nice 7-inch display, real-time traffic, 3D mapping, map care, Bluetooth, hands-free phone system, USB port, and a rear camera.
Lots of bells and whistles now.
All in one unit.
Right.
You just have it right there in the dash that you're able to be, fully entertained while you're enjoying the quiet piece of electric drive.
Right. Right. Okay, one final question for you that just happened to spring to mind. Any plans of building the Outlander using the factory in Illinois?
At this time, there isn't any plans to be building the Outlander in Illinois that I can announce. But like I said, remember what we were showing at the auto shows was something that was very similar to the Outlander Sport that's currently being built there.
Okay.
So I can't make any announcements, but you can kind of see some of the thinking that's going on here,
right.
Bill.
That's fair enough. Great. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time and sitting down and bringing us all up to speed here. I've always sort of loved that little car, and I just have been, I wish that there were more of them out there and available and running around that people could experience what they're like. With that price, I think you'll probably do pretty well with it.
Well, thank you, Bill. I agree with you, and I hope so too.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Thanks, Bill. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.